You know, after that last video, that deeply personal Clone High video, I think I need something that's more positive, something that gives me a reprieve, you know? I'm just so burnt out and emotionally exhausted. I need something to really just—
Oh, I know! Lord of the Rings Gollum, man! Yeah! Lord of the Rings Gollum, let's go! Oh boy, what swell times we have today, boys! Oh boys! Yeah, yippee! Yeah! Lord of the Rings Gollum, let's go!
Where'd you move here from, dumb?
Hey, before we begin, follow El Twitter. The last one got banned because I posted Viper the Rapper. Follow El Instagram. I posted La Meme. Sub to La Patreon. I need money. And yeah, that's it. Oh, and I have a Threads now too. Okay, look, in spite of everything, I can really only be so mad at Lord of the Rings Gollum. You see, unlike the last video on Clone High, where I'm left in a constant state of emotional exhaustion, just pure, unadulterated hatred and vile apathy, with Lord of the Rings Gollum, I'm just perpetually confused, and I kind of feel bad for the game a little bit. Like, the game shut down a whole studio, a studio that made halfway decent games, mainly Deponia, a game that only I've ever heard of. I played a little bit of the first game a long time ago and for this video, and you know what, for what it's worth, it's a cute little adventure game. It's pretty underrated, pretty funny, it's $3 on Steam. They also made a game called State of Mind, and it looks really boring. So obviously making a AA Lord of the Rings game with multiple choice options and Uncharted climbing might have been a little out of their wheelhouse. Not to mention you have to pay for lore accurate elf voice acting and emotes for a single player video game, causing a massive PR disaster for this little game. This is further proven when the game came out, was critically panned, and the studio shut down. This is 9/11 to all 7 Deponia fans. But is Lord of the Rings Gollum really that bad? Yes. So we open up in a cave, and we get some Gollum monologues. And let me just say, Andy Serkis, this is not.
No breath, no cheer, death not to fear.
Now I know this game isn't based on the movies, but rather it's based on the books. There's a whole rights issues thing. TLDR, it's a nice way of saying WB had nothing to do with this. This was the case with the Rings of Power. This was the case with that Lord of the Rings game from 2002. This was the case with that Lord of the Rings musical. This was the case with that Lord of the Rings card game thing. This was, however, not the case with A Shadow of Mordor and War in the North, because those were made by WB. But this is the case with Lord of the Rings Gollum. But even then, they'll still try and evoke the same feelings as the movie. Keyword being try, and the following keyword being fail. So now Gollum's in this jail cell. Free my boy, he ain't done nothing wrong. Then see this guy who says Among Us. And we also see Gandalf, who threatens us. Now, personally, I don't think this scene is lore accurate. But like anyone's keeping count, why does Gandalf look like a homeless person? We then fade to black and get an animated intro. And we get the quote, following the books by J.R.R. Tolkien. Yeah, we skimmed them. Now we're at the mountains of Sidith Ungol, which in this game's case is actually mountains of PS3 era graphics. His mouth didn't even move. Now we're finally in the game where we're introduced to the worst jumping I've ever seen. I love how his animation just stops in the middle of the air. It just feels so weightless. Compare that to an Uncharted or a Tomb Raider, where there's a lot more weight to the animation, and as a result, it's a lot more kinetic. Oh, speaking of Uncharted and Tomb Raider, now we have Uncharted and Tomb Raider style climbing sections. We get a long jump by pressing run and jump at the same time, and we can also climb very specific walls. And despite the fact Gollum feels like a really slippery, cloudy magnet, and the team also clearly didn't have a budget to make an Uncharted Tomb Raider styled thing, again, where those feel actually weighty and not looser than my fucking grandma. It's at least pretty typical, I guess. I mean, at least they tried. I mean, look, he's slipping on the wall, and yet drops with 0 impact. He also shimmies with the speed of my grandma. Wow, this is very slow. How long is this going to go? At this point, I chose to up my settings from high to ultra settings.
That's what the kids call epic.
And this led to...
What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck?
I got this hair bug numerous times throughout the game, and it seems to leave as soon as I leave the area. Still though, what the hell is going on here? For some reason, this goes away when I'm under a light source, I guess. Hey, maybe it's just lore I don't know about or something.
Oh, Christopher, come in, my boy, Christopher, come in, my boy.
Father, it is I, Christopher Tolkien. What have you called me for on this occasion?
Listen, my boy, Christopher, I need you to understand, Christopher. I need you to preserve my legacy, Christopher. Yes, my legacy of Middle-earth, Christopher.
Okay, Father. How do you propose I preserve your legacy of Middle-earth?
Christopher, in 2023, there'll be a video game for the PS5 based on my works, yes. Now this game, Christopher, I want this game to be based on a character of Gollum, yes. I want this game to have lighting that's completely broken, completely breaks his hair, yes.
Brilliant, Father. Brilliant. One question. What's the PS5?
So we get a bunch more Uncharted climbing. We get Tomb Raider running up walls. And weirdest of all, Titanfall wall running? Since when could Gollum wall run? So we get more climbing and more climbing and more climbing and more climbing. And oh shit, some orcs! And this is where the game's real shitty navigation comes in. Now look at this scene. Where do you think you're supposed to go? If you think you're supposed to wait for the orcs for a minute until you can pass through the main area, you're wrong. Even though the game tells you to stay and remain hidden, you're supposed to head through the slightly out of view area. Okay, well that was my fault. I didn't really see it. It can't get worse, right? We then get randomly chased by some orcs, but then a cutscene plays. Then we get more climbing and a cutscene where Gollum chases down a beetle, and it causes this dumbass to trip and fall. But uh-oh, we encounter some orcs along the way. We get our first real stealth sequence. Basically, it's hide in tall bush, reach yellow lining, and then climb yellow lining. Now, here's the thing. I get it. You have to navigate the area, and the player does need a subtle indicator on where to exactly go. But that's the thing. It needs to be a subtle indicator. Otherwise, who the fuck is going around Mordor and painting yellow and white paint all over the walls and railings? Who's going into these random ass caves and painting yellow paint on them? The navigation is way too obvious in this game, and it takes away from the atmosphere. Oh, by the way, in this area, Smeagol starts reaching out to something. Now, I assume that this is like Uncharted, and there is something to grab onto. Nope, just kidding. It's a fucking death pit. Thank you, game. Now I have trust issues. This makes the navigation even weirder, because sometimes it's completely obvious where to go, and other times it's not. There are so many areas in this game where I missed a jump or something, or more often than not just fumbled around for 15 minutes, because the next area where to go is slightly out of my eye shot. It's like the game wants you to fumble around with the camera before jumping somewhere. Next, we gotta distract this orc with a rock. Well, okay, I've thrown rocks in other games before, so I throw the rock and nothing happens. I throw it again, the orc is completely unreactive. Then I go, oh wait a minute, I gotta throw it at this lantern, of course, like the objective tells me. So I do, and it doesn't work. So what am I supposed to do here? You're not gonna believe this. When Gollum aims a rock, there's, you know, a white arc and shit. You need to make sure that arc is green. If it's white, it won't count. Then, and only then, will you throw a rock and a cutscene plays. And then for no reason, this orc falls over and dies. I don't know why. Gollum then sees a flower. Then he sees the beetle. And now you, the player, have to argue with yourself as to whether or not you want to actually kill it. Now, what's really funny about this part is the default text they use here.
Ah, nothing says Middle-earth like Myriad Prophons.
By the way, we're almost 30 minutes into this game, and all that's happened is beetle chasing and a bunch of fake Uncharted climbing. We then get jump scared and fall into this cave, and here we're taught the healing mechanic. Why, yes, there is a healing mechanic, because you can actually take damage in this game by doing things like taking fall damage in a third-person Uncharted Tomb Raider styled game. It's also not really for stealth either, because if you lose those, it's one hit, one death. Reminder, there is fall damage in this game, and there is healing for it, meaning that movement is now needlessly riskier, and yet the movement is so janky that it's also just not fun anyways. It reminds me of Uncharted 1, the first one, on the PS3. Oh, Gollum also has Assassin's Creed Eagle Eye now. I don't know why exactly, your guess is as good as mine. Use Gollum's intuition. What the fuck does that mean? We're then chased by some ring wraiths. Oh no! This would be very really intense if it were in any other game. And it turns out we're supposed to be caught by them. So we can then get the cutscene of Gandalf pointing a stick at us and Gollum getting crucified.
Shadow Wizard Money Gang. We love casting spells. I don't believe in human rights.
And now we're here in this cell in Mordor on chapter 2, I guess, where for some reason the orcs want to use us as a slave. Now, I'm not sure why, judging that Gollum looks like this, but we are, so we get on this thing, and now we gotta report to the Beastmaster, whoever that is, who is apparently this guy, and we have to follow this guy, whose name is the Frail Man. And now we're on a trailing mission. No, please game, I want to follow random people around for 5 hours. Oh wait, this game is 12 hours? Well, the fuck me? I didn't think they had the budget for that. Whoa, look at this camera sweep. Now it's time for the next mission, which is to herd cattle. Man, first it was chasing beetles. Now we gotta have cattle chase us and lock them indoors. Whoa, dude, what a crazy fucking game. Did they just not know what else to do for a Gollum game? It's like Daedalic got the rights to make a Lord of the Rings game and went, okay, what won't be over ambitious? Oh, I know, Gollum. But then realize that Gollum as a character does jack shit in the story. So you get a whole game where he's just climbing around and herding cattle in Mordor in a vain attempt to justify this game's dumbass existence. Now we gotta talk to the Mine Orc, and we get more trailing missions with garbage voice acting.
Don't listen to her. There's a reason she's in a cage.
That's what can happen if you don't have good reflexes.
And after talking to this guy, we follow the Frail Man again. And now we have to find the ID tags of dead slaves. This time doing the climbing that we've been doing for the first 30 minutes. You see, here's the thing. Uncharted may have a lot of climbing in it, but the climbing usually is downtime, either to set up or relieve you from a big action scene. On top of that, Uncharted has an actually good story that spices up these scenes and gives them context. And Lord of the Rings Gollum, the writing is so on the nose and so matter of fact that it's not interesting.
I would milk you for blood.
So the story ends up being very boring, and therefore these climbing scenes are very boring. And furthermore, these fetch quests that are just basic chores are very boring. And all the environments look the same, making it even more boring. So therefore, this game is overall very boring. At least we get the new Lord of the Rings enemy though, Giant Circle.
It's the dirty bubble.
By the bubble. The bubble killer people.
Oh, and Gollum's legs go completely spastic at one point. So now it's time to end our day and hear this voice actor talk about the Candle Man for God knows how long. Who is the Candle Man? I don't give a shit. Day 2. That's how long I felt like I've been playing this game. Now we gotta crawl into some holes and blow up some barrels. Put in the stone and crawl through the holes. And run from the smoke Metroid style. Oh, did you like that? Oh, you didn't? Oh, we'll do it again, fucker. No. We hate riveting gameplay. Yes. Oh, did you like that? We'll do it again, bro. Just 3rd time's the charm. Oh, but don't worry, we put a trailing mission as downtime, and this game has just been a bunch of fucking chores over and over again. But thankfully, I got stuck in this cave here. That's right, I got stuck in this random cave. This isn't supposed to happen. Bug test our game. I never even heard of her. All right, time for more barrel blowing shit. And after this, some more static cutscenes where people just stand around. But thankfully, the Frail Man tells us a very sad story where a guy trips and falls down some stairs.
What happened?
Well, one day he slipped and fell.
But then this orc approaches us, and we get a choice to threaten him or beg or whatever, so I threaten him because that'd be really funny. And check out the cutscene that plays. Well, it was really funny. Woo! More trailing missions, yay! This is what I wanted my Lord of the Rings game. This is so riveting, guys.
Go to the sewers, you maggots.
Yes, sir, I will slowly walk more again. Time to swim in blood for no reason. Time to get chased by cattle for no reason. This time, the AI for them is barely functional. Also, this time, the game is barely functional because I die for no reason. Now it's time for more climbing, and more climbing, and more climbing, and more climbing. This is what Uncharted is like to people who don't like Uncharted. And now it's time for stealth, where you have to hide under very specific shadows and turn completely black. All black Gollum, that's the perfect attire. It's like the most basic stealth mechanics you could ever have. It's even more basic than basic. It's like really, as long as you're completely still under certain shadows as enemies face you, you'll be fine. Even if you're right in front of them. So we stealth our way into this area, I guess. And we get more climbing than I even know what to do with. So far, this game has been insanely repetitive. It's either either chores or shitty climbing. There's barely any stealth too, which is weird since this is a stealth game. At least I think it is. It's not a narrative game because the story is boring and sucks. It's not a platformer because the platforming sucks. I can't even tell what game this is, and I'm like an hour and a half into it. So at this point, I'm so bored, I'm just going through the motions of whatever the game is telling me to do at this point, platforming wise. I then reach this hallway, and of course we go down this hallway. I then drop into this room, and immediately I'm spotted by enemies. Enemies I had no idea were here, nor would I have any idea I would know they're here. Thank you, game, for leaving me completely clueless on how to avoid these fucking enemies. And this is followed by even more climbing. The first strand type game, this is the first climb type game. Now we're in this room and we sneak into a cutscene and then leave. Oh no, but we're caught by a PS3 model. And now we're sent back to work to do more chores in this shitty ass video game. Wow, what an awful punishment. We're forced to play more of the game. At this point, I start to get a little bit bored. Bored as in Bored of the Rings, which is a parody of Lord of the Rings. Let me read an excerpt from it. The usual collection of sodden oafs were there, including Fat Lip's son, Spam Gangree, who is presently celebrating his suspended sentence for the performing of an unnatural act with an underaged female dragon. Of an underaged female dragon of the opposite sex. What the fuck?
Sneaker wants to sleep. Just a little further, sweet one. Just a little.
So we do whatever we're supposed to do in this level, and wow, great cutscene. I love how he just passes out with no impact. Now he sees the Eye of Sauron. Now he's in a circle. What's going on? Now we gotta climb up to the bridge. Gonna be honest, I'm not paying attention at this point. Oh, by the way, the soundtrack starts farting in my goddamn ear. We get even more instances of absolutely nothing going on. I then light up a barrel and then go to this area, but then see a look prompt. So I then press the look prompt and die during the cutscene. Which begs the question, why is this here? We then make our grand escape, and Gollum's hair starts phasing into a new reality, where we then meet a new character, Cruel Woman. Oh, and make sure they add in Cruel Woman into this game, my son.
Cruel Woman. Such a brilliant name for a character. I'd like some Chinese hot dogs, but
it was in this moment when I was sitting in this stupid-ass car and listening to this dumb woman talk, fighting with myself over the shampoo bottle and things that I didn't care about, that I realized I've been playing 2 hours of this shit, and I don't care to see anymore, so I shut it off.
Yes, well, you've said your piece.
Yeah, I didn't beat the game. Did you want me to or something? But there is actually kind of a point to all this. I think there is, at least. Or maybe I'm just pretending. You don't know that. Maybe it's all just artificial depth, like an overly long climbing sequence. But my point, or rather question, is who was this made for? Because, like, no one wants to play a Gollum game where they play as Gollum, who is Gollum. They want to play as a badass ranger, or like a hobbit at least. They want to explore Middle-earth, have sex with Frodo or something. No one really wanted this at all. And furthermore, Gollum has already been explored well enough in the source material. What is more to Smeagol that you need to explore? Like, why did you make a whole game about him? This would be like making a Silent Hill 2 prequel about Eddie, or like a brand new Star Wars game about C-3PO. Like, yeah, sure, Gollum on his own isn't a bad character. In fact, he's a great, interesting one. But he's interesting in the context of the source material only. But I think that's why overall I'm more apathetic than anything. Unlike last week's video on Clone High, which was a god-awful continuation after 20 years of pretty much nothing, Lord of the Rings Gollum is a non-canon game in a franchise full of alternatives. I already have the finished Lord of the Rings story, twice in fact. I have multiple good-ass games. If I wanted to play a lore-breaking fanfiction, I'd play Shadow of War, and the game itself being bad is just icing on the cake. It desperately tries to throw in mechanics from other better games, so it can try to make something out of this nothing of a concept. But yet, that's the thing. If I want to play a game with Uncharted climbing, I'll play Uncharted. I'll play a game that actually puts these mechanics together in a unique and entertaining way. In conclusion, yeah, this game's a mess. It's a game that's made for nobody and sadly killed the studio, which, in spite of quality, is very sad. People lost their jobs. Here's hoping the devs and employees can bounce back from this, because, man, this is kind of really sad. So that was the review. This is a very different type of video, I know. I just needed something really stupid after the last week's video. Tune in next time when I review Skibbity Toilet.
Fuck you in the lanes you came with. Me and you ain't on the same shit. You ain't in my lane, bitch. Nah, throw that shit in fifth. Rollie on my wrist. Ay, baby, you a star. I'm my only wish. I'm counting blue hundreds. I'm too money. Ay, and my little bitch, she too calling me like that, yeah. Getting high with the seat, lay back. Baby, gon' relax, yeah. Hey, they don't know the half, yeah. No matter what happened, I got your back. Baby, that's the facts, yeah. That's the facts, yeah. Yeah, we can fight, but the feeling's gone. I try to find the words, but they never come. I can still see you on the lawn, hey, laying outside in the summer sun. Yeah, we can fight, but the feeling's gone. I try to find the words, but they never come. I can still see you on the lawn, hey, laying outside in the summer sun. Hey, I'm with a dark-skinned girl on a Sunday, that's that Black Sabbath. She put them ones all down on a Hyundai, and she had to have it. Baby, that's the facts, yeah. That's the facts, yeah.
Okay, Google, how do I retcon the lore out of your YouTube videos?